Growing your business can mean big-time logistical questions, like how are we going to keep up with all these local deliveries? Let Uber Direct offer you a helping hand. With Uber Direct, you take orders on your website, app, or by phone. Then, drivers who are part of Uber's courier network pick them up from your store and deliver them to your customer's doorstep. Sounds simple, right? Delivery just got better with Uber Direct. Learn more at uberdirect.com.
At Arizona State University, we offer a variety of programs online designed and taught by a renowned faculty to empower your success. That's why 87% of ASU online graduates stated they were promoted or received an increase in salary after earning their degree. Visit asuonline.asu.edu.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the episode of Second and Saints. John Hendricks alongside Ross Jackson. Post-game show, Saints beating up on the Cowboys, 44-19. Ross, I mean, we knew the offense was going to be pretty good, but nobody saw 40-plus points. Like, I know I picked the Saints to win earlier, you know, like when we did our pregame show and stuff like that, but this was an impressive performance. And we really went back to last week and said, okay, we knew that it was the Panthers. They could beat up on the Panthers. Could they do it against Dallas's defense, specifically Mike Zimmer? Boy, did they pass the test.
Yeah, if you were looking for some proof that the New Orleans Saints are the real deal, I think you got it today. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that there's any excuses left in terms of saying, oh, well, they did it against this team, not that kind of team, all these other things. Dallas is considered a playoff team. A lot of people pick Dallas to be a team to go deep into the playoffs. Some people, mostly here in Dallas, I imagine, picked them to be a Super Bowl team. And here the New Orleans Saints are absolutely running them over on the way to their second victory. Second year in a row starting 2-0, but this 2-0 feels very different than last year's.
Yeah, look, I'll say that. I think that's the biggest thing is that it feels different. And I tell you, the locker room feels different. Like I've got, and I wrote this in my column, it's 2018 vibes. And I'm not telling you that that's the team, but I feel like they've got the right mentality, the right mindset. I mean, guys like Marshawn Lattimore, who was trying to play in this game, but legitimately Dennis Allen saying he got pissed off because he couldn't play. Like, that's a different Marshawn. And we've said that from the beginning, what Marshawn has been, you know, dialed in since he came back and everything. But it's just one of those things where, again, I don't think this is a long-term sustainable plan where they're going to put up 40 points every game. Right. Alvin Kamara is going to have 4 touchdowns and 150 plus yards, or they could put up 400 or score on every possession that they have. But goodness, it's just refreshing to see Clint Kubiak and his stuff come together like we have been seeing in training camp, and I've been kind of telling you guys, especially if you've been tuning in, and this is just coming to fruition. And again, it's 2 weeks, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is that everybody in that mentality and that mindset is saying, okay, it's only week 2. There's a long season ahead. There's a lot of football to be played, but man, when you talk about 1 week to the next, I mean, we thought it might be close. I said, you know, look, we kind of agreed that if they could at least hang in there for 4 quarters, stand toe-to-toe with them, we'd feel good about it. But again, Derek Carr looked sharp. Alvin Kamara looked exceptional. Of course, the one little pick, but I mean, that was towards the end, you know, whatever. But the bomb to Shaheed, the defense pretty much holding CeeDee Lamb aside that one play. I mean, they went in there and they had an excellent game plan for Dallas.
The 70-yard touchdown strike from Derek Carr to Rashid Shaheed might be one of the best throws I've seen in person. Yeah. Like, that was just absolutely outstanding. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to get underneath it and everything. And then, of course, we shouldn't doubt Rashid Shaheed's speed. Yeah. I say it all the time. We got to respect Rashid Shaheed's gangsta. And I think we really saw it in this one. And then the other thing that stood out to me, too, the offensive line in this game. Remember, they were supposed to struggle against this Dallas front and everything. Taliesin Fuanga, the first-round pick, ended up going in this game, played the entire game. A rookie who missed the last 2 of 3 practice days going into this, or I guess 2 of 4 practice days going into this one. Like, remarkable stuff from them. And that's where it all started for me, was up front, because Derek Carr never seemed like he was under duress. It was 1 sack. Alvin Kamara and the New Orleans Saints, 190 rushing yards in this game, 180 rushing yards in last week's game, 370 combined rushing yards in the first two games. That's the third highest total for the New Orleans Saints to open their season for two games. You got to go back to the 70s and 80s to find the other two. Like, just absolutely outstanding. And that's really where all this came from. Saints defense getting it done as well. I think you'd like to see a little bit more consistent pressure coming from this pass rush, but hey, 1.5 sacks from Carl Granderson, half sack from Chase Young meeting up with his old friend Dak Prescott, and then you also had the Brian Brzee strip sack effectively. So you still got 3 sacks in this game, 4 sacks last week. Like, they're still getting there and still getting home. So just good stuff all around. Again, we didn't see a punter until the fourth quarter again. I mean, it's electrifying football all of a sudden.
Yeah, look, and I think, you honed in on the offensive line. There's only one play I could remember that Micah Parsons was a factor on.
Right.
Where it hurried Derek Carr to throw, and that was, I think, his first incompletion, if I'm not mistaken. But, even on the touchdown play to Rashid Shaheed, he did an excellent job in blocking Micah Parsons, but taking away their best weapons. And again, I said this, that if I'm Dallas, I would have put Micah Parsons on Trevor Penning every single rep I could, but they try to put him more on Taliesin Fuaga. And look, his back injury, they said that they knew once he hit the stadium today that he was going to play. And man, I'm telling you, this offensive line, this was our biggest question mark going into it. And we said this offense doesn't work without the offensive line. And man, have they really showed us another level. Now, again, it's the Panthers, it's the Cowboys. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, right? Sure. And of course they got the Eagles behind this game. They have the Falcons on the road, and then of course they got the Chiefs. Those are no easy opponents, but given how everything is played out, how everything has shaped out for this team, a 2-0 start, especially winning the way they have in the first 2 weeks, you couldn't ask for a better start here. Yeah, I mean, this was as close to perfect as you're going to get if you're the New Orleans Saints. And as you mentioned, it's not going to stay this way. But I think we saw the Saints manage a little bit of adversity in this game. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu and Paulson Adebo missing on a tackle. CeeDee Lamb turns into a big 60-plus yard touchdown catch and run. And then what do? Erase that. Paulson Adebo has 2 defensive holding penalties at an earlier point, turns around, gets an interception, showed off a little bit of the shiftiness that he didn't necessarily show in Indianapolis last year, but that he absolutely showed this time. Tyrann Mathieu getting an interception later on as well. So both of those guys kind of faced this moment of adversity, we would call it, and then they turned around and they were able to turn around and make big plays, get the ball back to their offense. That this is exactly what you want to see from this New Orleans Saints defense. They held Dallas to 19 points, 1 touchdown, and a bunch of field goals. That's the difference in a game. And then the first team offense scoring on, 16 straight drives, basically. Everything like just 15 straight drives. It's insane. Like, that's not what you expect from this team coming in. And it might not be sustainable at this level, but there's a lot that is still a sustainable path of success, or rather to success for this team, that I think you can rely on as a fan, maybe for the first time in 3 years, where you feel really good about it. Yeah. And I mean, again, it starts with Alvin Kamara. I mean, again, this Kubiak offense is designed to put the ball in the best players' hands. And I think I remember one of the things I told you and turned to you is one of the things I watched, because I'm a nerd. We're both nerds, really. But the formations, and again, we're not trying to compare like Pete Carmichael to Clint Kubiak or anything, but there's so much change in personnel. Like, every time they open up, it was pretty much the same standard 5 players. It was Taysom Hill, Foster Moreau, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, and Alvin Kamara. Like, it's been a staple. Now, of course, we're worried about Taysom Hill just a little bit. He did go to the hospital. He's got a chest injury, didn't return. They're doing some imaging on him, get some x-rays and such, but it's more precautionary. So worst case would be a pec tear. That would pretty much end him. But hopefully that's not the case, but that would be a huge loss for him. But what I would say is, obviously, Kamara, getting him going and just being able to use him the right way. I mean, we joke between, all the commercial breaks and all this, but I mean, if I'm New Orleans, I'm probably running up to pay him now, because there might be a point where you might not be able to really afford him. You know what I mean? But it's just refreshing to see him, Shaheed, and obviously Olave being able to be put in success in a way to succeed in. And same thing for Derek Carr. I mean, this offense fits him. It works. It looks good. I mean, you see the products, right? And of course, you got the Eagles at home. I feel pretty good about that right now too, myself. But it's just the train's going and full steam ahead right now. And I tell you what, they made the statement. And if you're looking across the NFC, if they could at least show this on a consistent basis, then they might find themselves in the playoffs when it's all said and done. But a lot of football left to be played.
Yeah. Do you get worried at all about too fast a start for this team and what it could end up meaning for them?
I would in the past, but here's why I don't worry about it as much. I think the leadership in the room is completely like different and focused, I guess you would say. And it's just one of the things that, you talk to Tyron or DeMario, just the fact that even with DA, like, again, it's the one consistent message everybody's saying. And so not getting too high on ourselves. And again, when I was talking about the locker room, the vibes, everybody's enjoying this victory. Like, it's Club Dub. The locker room was lit. You guys have seen all those nice little victory parades. I mean, Derek Carr even hitting a Michael Jackson. Like, everybody's having fun right now. Exactly. So everybody's having fun. But I don't think it's a thing where they're peaking too high. And look, there's been some teams who have really started off really strong and then they just hit the wall. Eagles were a prime example last year. Nobody looked like they could beat the Eagles, and then they started beating themselves. And so adversity is going to come at some point for this team. I'm interested to see when they hit that wall and what they do, but I just don't get the sense that based on the locker room talk and way that they're doing that it's just going to just go to the crapper.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. And a couple of extra things that makes me feel that I'm not super worried about too fast to start for this team is that you've got 2 blowout victories that started in the first half. And so when you come back to the second half, Clint Kubiak kind of being able to run a lot of the same concepts just with some slight personnel tweaks. So there's so much of this offense that we still have not seen, and that's still kind of up his sleeve, if you will. And then I think the other things that are always sustainable, defense, which we've seen be sustainable in New Orleans for years and years and years with Dennis Allen. And then now the run game. Again, 370 combined yards in the first 2 games on the ground, 180 last week, 190 this week. Absolutely incredible. And so I think that those 3 things in particular, how much of this offense still has yet to be shown, the defense and the run game, help you be able to kind of maybe manage some of that adversity. We saw how long that third quarter drive was, over 7 minutes, 12 plays that counted, but you also had a couple of penalties and things like that. I mean, like those types of moments are the things that allow you to be able to sustain some success and maybe slow down a little bit the tempo of a game when you are facing a little bit of adversity, allow you to get back into it.
Yeah, and they had a touchdown wiped out because of a penalty. Ineligible man downfield, Fossmer. I mean, they still ended up putting it in and such. But, I mean, I just love the fact that they're playing complementary football. And, again, I've harped on this for years. It's just the fact that, now you're seeing the offense and the defense complement each other. The special teams game is going. And maybe this team can prove that they don't have to play that way. But until then, I mean, this is what happens when they're a well-oiled machine. They can go, they can charge full steam ahead. They get the offense playing what they need to do. Defense making some stops. Bend, don't break. That's always been the mantra kind of for years now for this defense. And then, of course, not seeing your punter until the fourth quarter again, that's like late in the game. That's something to be praised with, you know what I mean? And of course, you get some turnovers on defense. You get Chase Young getting after it. I mean, again, this guy, just even though he's not necessarily getting a sack every play, he's just a monster. He's a nightmare. And so, again, I thought Kool-Aid McKinstry did a really nice job filling in. No Marshawn Lattimore. Adebo had his moments, right? But he had that big 47-yard return. Alante, I think, played exceptionally well, too. Yeah. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, without that one play, the Saints did a really nice job of taking away the big players to be able to make a factor in this game. And anytime that you make Dak Prescott go sit on the bench, it's a win.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and brilliant marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does selling better than Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret? With Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell whatever your customers are scrolling or strolling on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/try to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/try.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Yeah, big time. And this was one of those games to where we expected to see New Orleans be very physical over on the defensive side. But I think the physicality of the secondary was a big time tone setter for this Saints defense as well. Tyrann Mathieu putting down a big hit on the right sideline at one play. Will Harris put one down as well. And we spoke with the players after the game, of course, and Tyrann Mathieu talking about how he feels like Will Harris is the thunder while he's the lightning. And they've been a really positive safety tandem so far. It's been really good with that new combination has been so far on the field. So just a lot to celebrate. Blake Grupe did miss his first extra point, but it was blocked, not entirely on him, but still hit his one field goal. Yep, still hit his one field goal opportunity there. So you feel good about special teams. You feel good about the defense. You feel good about the offense in New Orleans. Like, this is an entirely new era of Saints football, it feels like.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully, again, it's not going to stay this way, right? I think the Eagles are going to pose a really good challenge for them next week. I think the biggest thing and the main takeaway is you can't shift the goalposts any longer. You can't just say, oh, well, it was the Panthers. Oh, well, it was just Mike Zimmer. You can't do that. Yeah. You got 2 weeks of proof that this Saints offense is capable of they show you the possibilities, right? They've showed you what this offense can be when they click on all cylinders. And the defense, for all intents and purposes, they don't have to do too much, right? Like, I mean, they just have to make sure they get stops when they need to. And again, it's going to be interesting because Jalen Hurts, different type of quarterback. Again, you got to watch out for what happens with Brown next week. Again, you joked about it earlier and said, receivers getting healthy at the right time, playing the Saints, tale as old as time.
I'm just saying.
But even still, I think you'll get Marshawn back. But them being smart and saying, okay, it's week 2, we don't have to put Marshawn out there. I think that was a good nod to A, Kool-Aid McKinstry, but, B, just confident in this group that we thought had a lot of depth to it. But, look, I'm super happy with how this came out. I don't think anybody saw this happening. This blowout. I mean, the Saints almost covered the over by themselves, just for the second straight week. Like last week they did, this week they almost did, but it's just a good time right now. And I think it's starting to bring back some of these Saints fans who are, you're the same people that were bad-mouthing Derek Carr, Dennis Allen, all these guys. Eat some humble pie right now, but I don't know if this is going to sustain. We're not telling you that this is going to be Super Bowl or anything, but 2 weeks in, if you're not a believer yet, I don't know what else you need to see.
Yeah, I'm converted. I mean, I'm completely converted.
I wasn't trying to single out Ross.
No, I'm singling myself out on that too, because I picked the Cowboys to win this game. I thought it was going to be close, 23-20. Yep. It wasn't close at all, and that's because New Orleans turned out to be a juggernaut out of nowhere. And how about the Saints fans traveling to this game? This felt like a Superdome game after a little while. The first Houdat chant that we heard came in the second quarter of this game. They were loud when the Cowboys were on the field. Cowboys fans stood no chance in this building at all. It was phenomenal, and exactly what you want to see in terms of, you mentioned like the Saints fans showing up. I mean, they showed up, they traveled, they did everything, and I'm so excited to see what the Dome looks like next week.
Oh, I think it's going to be electric. And look, that's why I said they missed the boat in putting this in a primetime setting, because New Orleans isn't that far of a drive from Dallas, or to Dallas. And so, again, a lot of fans travel well, particularly this game, especially like there's some Katrina transplants and stuff like that too. So it's a good time out here in Jerry World, unless you're a Cowboys fan, which, face it, you're not tuning into this broadcast maybe, but some people were on our comments saying stuff about the Cowboys are going to roll and all this stuff. Old Take Exposed. Shout out to Frizz over there. He's having a fun-filled day. Saints social media is having a fun-filled day. Game balls. Who would you give? Ooh. Let's say you can get 2 on offense, 2 on defense today.
All right, I'll do 2 on offense first. You do 2 on defense. That way we don't, and then we can swap them around.
Tarantino.
Yeah, there we go. My 2 on offense. I mean, you got to go Derek Carr. We got to go Derek Carr, right?
We probably have the same 2, right?
Yeah, it's got to be Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara, right?
But that's the 2 that I think you'd probably go with. I'd give the Saints offensive line a game ball.
Big time.
I think they would be the other one, and I'd give the other one to Rashid.
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
Shaheed's, the way he's been playing, I mean, it's just been excellent. But Kamara, just the way he was coming here, I mean, just the no nonsense, like, I'm just coming here to play, like everybody made a big deal about the no contract and stuff. But again, Alvin's driving that price up. But look, Derek Carr looking comfortable in this offense. And this is kind of what we've been trying to tell you guys, is that this is what the offense looks like and catered to. But, just seeing the confidence loom out from everybody, and just the excitement people have when they say Clint Kubiak, no, he can't go in the booth. He's got to be on the sidelines and all this stuff. But I agree. I mean, Alvin, Derek for sure, but other ones I'd say is the Saints offensive line and Rashid Shaheed to game ball.
Yeah, I want to highlight Derek Carr real quick because I think it's easy to criticize the quarterback, but then it's also sometimes easy to kind of like glance over him when you have a really solid game like this. 6 of 6 at one point in this game for 199 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns at the early part of the game. And then he finished with over 200 passing yards, did have the interception, but again, you know what I mean? It was the right decision. It was just slightly outside of Chris Olave's frame. Maybe Olave was expecting to sit when he was expecting him to keep running, something like that. It happens. And it didn't end up being of detriment to New Orleans. But Derek Carr, this offense is just working so uniquely well for him. The motion allowing him to be able to diagnose what he's seeing over the defensive side. Play action, something that's always played to his strength. The run game, he's got a defense, like all these other things. One of the big things that we said about him last year when he got to New Orleans was that, this would be the first time where he really ever plays with a top 20 defense. And it helped, but with the offense kind of being shaky and not having a run game to support what they were trying to do and having to play from behind, that kind of put him in some bad situations. Now he's got an offensive line that did a stellar job today, a run game that looks unstoppable, and a defense that keeps making plays and keeps getting the ball back on short fields and things like that. Like, it's just excellent. And on top of all of that, he's making it work. He's making it happen. He's doing the thing. He's throwing the touchdowns. He's making the right decisions, everything like that. I looked over to you at one point during the game and I was like, Derek Carr is like feeling himself. And this was before he hit the hee on him. Like, he was feeling himself, but he was feeling himself in such a way that wasn't like taking risks or trying to push the ball too much or anything like that. He just feels and looks so comfortable in this offense that it's almost like the decision-making is just easy for him at this point.
Yeah. And look, I saw a comment in there about Jamal Williams. I think he's somebody just to point out too, because the running game having success. I mean, Taysom getting a little bit too, but again, I'm not trying to toot our own horn or anything, but like we've talked about Jamal Williams, fans had said something about like he needed to be cut and all this other stuff, but they got an offense that's designed to help guys like even Jamal Williams. And he's even fourth quarter when they get a who dat chant going, he's still pounding the mess out of the Cowboys and still running it hard and stuff. And I mean, that's just kind of how he is. And so I've been really pleasantly surprised with how he's been able to pick up this offense as well. Yeah, it seems to be a very good fit for him. Over on the defensive side, what are you thinking over on the defensive side? Yeah, I think for me, it's one of those that I'd start with Alontae Taylor again. Mm-hmm. He had 8 solo tackles and an assisted tackle, 9 tackles total. DeMario had 8. I think Alontae Taylor, given the situation where he had to kind of go on the outside for Marshawn, he's got to get a game ball from me. And I think the other one, man, it's tough. It's close. I could think of DeMario, but I'll give it to Carl Granderson getting after the quarterback. I mean, that's obviously a tough thing going against this Dallas front 5, if you will. And so I think he's another guy that I look at. But close in that is probably DeMario and Chase Young, because I just think that those two played excellent. And of course, honorable mentions would maybe Will Harris. I mean, I think those two. I mean, given how the game played out, but Will Harris is proven to be one of the best pickups that they've had besides what we make of Chase Young, and we really haven't seen too much out of Willie Gay Jr. Yet, because he's kind of had that back injury. But it's something that we'll see more of, I'm sure. Yeah, I would have to go with Paulson Adebo in there as well. Just managing sort of like or rather the diversity of having like those 2 defensive holding penalties called early, being a part of, along with Tyrann Mathieu, giving up the big catch and run to CeeDee Lamb as we talked about earlier, and then just erasing all of that. And then coming up with like 2 more big plays, including the interception. He also had a nice deep down the field pass breakup as well. I think all that was there. And then I'll roll for Brian Brzee as well, who and who's coming into a second season as a first round pick. Lots of expectation in terms of what he's looking to be, and I think that this was like a really good game for him. Yeah, an emotional day too. It was the 2-year anniversary of Ella, so I mean he's it's a lot that's going on with him mentally and such. But he was happy. He asked me after the game. He's like, "Hey, that actually goes down as the strip sack for me." I was like, "Yep, that's what it goes down on the scoreboard." So really good to see for him. Man, enjoy this one. We're going to obviously go into Eagles mode really quickly as the team is going to be. Just real quick, what are you looking for out of this team for next week? 40 points, I guess. Damn.
Like, I mean,
I'll tell you what, if they get 40 points on the Eagles, yeah, you might as well just start, packing your bags and start booking your hotels in New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to go. I mean, that's and the Eagles. I mean, it's a big deal. Like, I mean, this is a big game, an NFC game. I mean, these 2 wins really matter. I mean, it's a divisional win, a conference win. Now you got another conference game, then you got another division component behind them, and then you could drop the KC game. But the way this team is playing, man, they put them against whoever, and I feel like they can do well. If they can replicate that, I don't know what team can slow them down at this point. But it'll happen at some point. They'll lose some game that they're not supposed to really lose. But at the same time, enjoy it. I've never had a good of a start to the season, I think, if they had. And they finished, like you said, 2-0 last year, started the season, but it was a different 2-0. Things weren't together. Things were sloppy. But this year, totally different.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think really the things that you're looking for versus Philly is, can you keep your run game going? Can you handle the receivers over for the defensive side? And then can your offensive line continue to be kind of the surprise that it has been so far? I think that those are kind of the 3 elements that I'm really looking forward to watching versus Philly at home next weekend.
It'll be fun. We'll be back. Obviously, we're going to preview the game and such, and stay tuned through Second and Saints for all sorts of funness. We got some cool, exciting announcements coming and stuff. We're going to be picked up by a cool sponsor now. So one of the many that are hopefully coming our way, but it doesn't happen without you guys and your support. So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. So we really appreciate it. Enjoy this win. Go troll. Do all your things that you got to do. You know how Saints fans act after a win. We know. And Cowboys fans, I wouldn't be surprised if these 2 teams meet again.
Oh, yeah.
It just could happen. But until then, a lot of football left to be played. We're going to enjoy this one. On behalf of Ross Jackson, I'm John Hendricks, signing out for another episode of Second and Saints.
Love you.
At Nutrafol, we don't just help your hair, we help your body grow it. Because it's never just about your hair. It can be your job or your deodorant or your lunch or just normal life. That's why our whole body approach targets the key root causes of hair thinning. Discover your root causes and why we're the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com. That's Nutrafol.com. These statements have not been approved by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease paid for by Nutraceutical Wellness, Inc.